I got my rear fenders done in the previous video. Now it's time to get my teeth into some custom running boards. Coming right up. Hey, how's it, you oaks? And welcome back to my shop. If you don't know me, my name is Diff, as in difficult, except I'm not. And I run a small one-man shop that's located in the middle of the forest on a small farm right at the bottom end of South Africa. Funny thing that I like to play with American rust. Maybe I was born in the wrong place. So before we carry on, I would like to brag with my new t-shirt. I just received the first sample. How cool is that? Here's a close-up of the design. I would like to thank my mate Stephen Bipp for the cool artwork. Thanks, brother. So if you're interested in getting one of these t-shirts for yourself, check out my merch store below the videos. You'll see there's a whole lot of different merchandise items available, different t-shirts. I've even got this as a sticker. So yeah, and if you are in South Africa, I think the easiest way is to drop me in mail and I can sort you out. My mail is, I'm going to put it here on the screen, ratrodsforafrica@gmail.com, and the 4 is a letter 4. So as a first step, I'm going to use this piece of 1.5" tubing, 38 millimeters, to create the edge of my running board. The truck is currently fully slammed, so I do want this to sit as low as possible. So up here, I want it to tie into this existing part on the original fender. There is an original bolt hole right there. So I capped the end of the tubing here with a bit of 1/4" 6 millimeter plate, so I could drill and tap there. Now I can attach this to my fender. Right, so I've got that firmly bolted on here from the inside. And then here on the back fender, I've got this piece of 1.5" 38 millimeter flat bar that I shaped a little bit. And that's going to go in like this, so it can bolt on here. And now my plan is to weld the round bar, that piece of tubing onto the flat bar. Let's shape this offcut piece around this length of tubing that I've got clamped to my bench. So we can just put a nice curvy bend into it. I think that ought to do it. Let's see. Yeah, I think that can work for me. So my plan is to make a fill-in piece here to take up that gap there. But my first attempt is not going to work. It fits okay there, but I need that to fill in there as well. So I'm just going to, I've made up this little bit of, let's see now, this bit of cardboard I mean. Always get confused between cardboard and hardboard. So I can now, yeah, that will work. So I'm going to use this and make a new one. So my first one is now a template to cut out the next try. Maybe this one will work. Some fine tuning, but now my second attempt is going to be successful. So next for me is to create a flange here so that we can pick up those bolt holes for attaching this running board in the making. I bent up this piece of flat bar to that curve. I had to cut it to a little bit of a taper there. Now my piece can fit like that. So I think I can tack it on. I'm creating this inner framework with some 2x1/8 angle bar, 50x3, and it's not a straight line, there's a bit of a kick here, so I need to do it in probably 3 pieces because another little kick up there. So I'm just going to clamp this on here now.
I think I'm definitely getting old. I was talking to you there and I didn't have the mic switched on, so it was all in vain because no one could hear me. So I was just saying that I've got my 3 pieces of the angle bar in here now. I clamped them onto the framework of the floor, so everything is nicely lined up. So yeah, I think I can move on to the next step now. I bolted it through the floor frame. So now I can take off my clamps and it will stay in place. Okay, lekker man, so I've now got a framework that can be unbolted from a truck. So all I need to do now is to fill in these blanks. So I've got a piece of plate here and I've put it here in my DIY homemade shop built bending brake. So let's fulfill the 90-degree lip on it. I think that'll do. So my first piece is going to go in like this. I can't do one continuous piece because of those kicks. It's not a straight line down there. So I just need to trim this one here now so that we can flush nicely against the back fender. I've got to trim this line as well. I got this piece trimmed, so it's going to go in like that. And I've also drilled a bunch of 1/4 inch 6mm holes here. So I'm going to use these tech screws to keep it in place for me. And then once I've got all the pieces fitted and everything lined up, my plan is to actually plug weld it through these holes. So I made my next piece the same way I did the first one. So now I can just screw this one into place as well. So for this last piece I'm going to have to make a cardboard template. So let's get this piece of cardboard in here. I need to cut a bit off here, something to that effect. Okay, cool man, so I've got all my pieces in place and we're starting to get a running board here. But before I weld them, I want to do some bead rolling. So let's take this first piece off again so I can take it to the bead roller. So I don't have the luxury of a motorized bead roller, although I must have built one in my mind 100 times already. I did add this wheel though, very basic, and that does make a huge difference. Instead of using that stupid crank handle that these cheap bead rollers come with. I added this guide here, it's adjustable. That helps a lot when you want to roll straight and parallel bead rolls, because now you can have something to guide you like that. Works great. I've got these two wing nuts that I made that clamps the guide, so if you undo them you can adjust it, and then when you've got your position, you tighten it up. Obviously stays where it has to stay. And this actually also serves to stiffen up the whole frame of the bead roller, because these sort of plates here tend to twist and warp a little bit when you bead roll. This helps a lot towards eliminating that. Here's another view. So this is actually just a piece of 1/2 inch 12mm square stock. Same there. Undo this, you can adjust it, and then these straps across, when you tighten the wing nut, clamps it nicely in place, not in space. Although sometimes there's a place in this space, or is there space in the place. So here on this side, that flat bar piece is welded onto that square stock that slides in the gap between the two blue plates. And it just started raining, so that's what that noise is. It's on the rain on my tin roof. If you take a peek in here, you can see right there is the bolt that comes through from the other side. So this plate here, this piece of flat bar, is drilled and tapped to accept that bolt. And this is the head of the bolt on the other side. I've just got this welded on, so I've got somewhere to tighten it. The bolt, this piece of flat bar here, if this is loose, you can see what happens. So the hole drilled through here is not tapped, so it can go through freely, and then as you tighten it, it screws through to the other side and then firmly clamps this piece of flat bar to keep the whole business in place. And then this guide itself is just another piece of square bar welded onto that piece that can slide 90 degrees to it, obviously, and I just made it thicker by screwing on another piece. When you get really close to the thing, it won't pass through, so that's why the stop piece can be removed if you did want your guide to go and sit in that space there somewhere. So now I can have my workpiece sitting nicely against the guide, and I will just carefully keep it there as I start doing my bead.
half, 1, 1.5 and 2. And make sure that I have the same number of turns every time. Let's go! Well, if you really want to be clever, you can always screw a ruler on here. Then you'll know exactly where to set your guide. I think I might just do that. So now, of course, all this bead rolling has caused quite a bit of distortion. If I put a straight edge across here, you can see it's not flat anymore. There's quite a bit of a gap there now. But it makes sense if you think about it. I mean, we've been consistently pushing metal around from one side only. But I'm not going to stress about it. I think I'm going to actually leave it like this and put it to my advantage. This additional curvature will just help to stiffen up the panel even more. And remember, it might look like that, but on any vehicle or any car, there is never a completely flat panel. They always have a little bit of curvature to help stiffen up. So yeah, let's see how it works out. Okay, lekker man, so I've got my 3 pieces clamped and screwed back into place. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, lekker is a South African slang word for cool. So I don't know what you think, but I think it's looking pretty lekker, pretty cool. So next for me is to start welding it up. I'm going to do these plug welds, and then I can take out my tech screws here. And then obviously I need to spot weld it along here as well. Okay, cool, so I've got this whole thing tacked together. Let's see if I stand on it. It's got a little bit of flex, but yeah, the whole car is actually moving. I've still got to take it off to weld the back. So I might install a few braces underneath. And then once that is done, hopefully it will still fit when I try to put it back together again. Oh dear, I just saw the state of my pants. I definitely won't be able to take them home. My wifey will not like that, to put it mildly. So I think the only solution would be to give them the good old pressure wash clean one of these days. Okay, so now I will just crawl around like a bug on the floor to see if I can remove this thing. Yeah, always easier to take things apart than it is to put them back together again, eh? Right. What an awkward bolt to get to. Who designed this bloody thing? Man, oh man. Almost. Ah, finally I got this nut off. What a freaking struggle. I'm gonna definitely weld that nut on there when I've got this thing apart.
Okay, last bolt out. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Still stuck. Let me drop the jack. Did I miss a bolt or what's going on? Ta-da! It's going to be a freaking fight to get this thing back in there, I can tell you that. I've had this thing on a bench for quite some time now because I welded it very slowly to minimize warpage and distortion as much as possible. So of course distortion is, or some distortion is inevitable. So if you look along this pipe and you look carefully, you can see that it's already starting to go a little banana. And that's just from all these spot welds along here on the one side. So I definitely won't be welding this fully, because then we'll end up with a serious banana. And then I spent quite a bit of time with a whole selection of weld blending tools. So I could sculpt it a little bit. I reckon it was worth the trouble though. That turned out pretty nice. So now the golden question, will this thing still fit? Let's go and find out. Gotta teach them to work fast. Push,
Yeah,
push,
push.
suck it up, push.
Push, boy.
Okay, baby Jack's gonna give me a helping hand. Let's see. Yes. That's not too bad. Now, let's see if the bolt holes line up. That's gonna be another story. That one feels okay. Let's see if I can get a nut in there. Alright, one is kind of in place. Let's keep going. Oh, this is certainly going better than I thought it would. This one's going nicely as well. And if I tighten it, I should be able to close up that gap. There we go. I think I might use a cup bed or something nicer than this. So this is just temporary. Oh man, I haven't got all the bolts in yet, but now I remembered that I never did my braces down in here. I forgot to do those. Now I'm going to have to take this. Yeah, now I'm going to have to take this freaking thing off again. Ah, damn it. Quite a contraption, eh? But I'd rather have a stiff running board than a wonky one. So right in this area I've got two cross members underneath the floor. So we can tie into that. And this is also the area where you're most likely to step. So I think this will be perfect for stiffening up. I don't think I need to add any further ones. Right, so let's go fit this freaking thing again. Okay, so I've got it back into place and firmly bolted up. So let's get some weight onto this running board and see what happens. Yes man, I think that's strong. And the whole body's moving with it. So let's air her up a little bit. I've still got my manual airbag controller temporarily fitted here on the back. So yeah, let's see. That's the back. And that's the front. I still got to adjust those torsion bars a little bit. I think I need a little bit more lift in the front. But that's what we have so far. Well, I think that turned out pretty nice. I'm happy with it. I don't like what's going on here though. Hey, ignore that for now. So I think when I take this panel off again, I want to radius this here a little bit so I can close that gap, because this irritates me. I'm going to leave these plug welds exactly as they are,
Kind of looks like rivets. And it adds a little bit of the old rat rod flavor, don't you think? And here's the view from a standing position. I like it, man. We do have a little problem though. I've only done the one side. So guess what? Repeat on measure and cut and fit and manipulate and weld and grind and fit again and so on and so forth to get it done on the other side. I sometimes think I should build bikes that don't have so many duplicate parts. Man, oh man, it sure was a lot of work to make these running boards. But now I've got this one done as well, here on the right hand side. Finally! Yeehaw! So I also added this piece in here. Maybe it's not that visible on the camera. And radiused it. So I don't have that gap there anymore. So that makes me feel a lot better. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I know. So with my running boards finally done, next up for me will be to finalize this wheel arch here. The side on that cut out. One thing I have to keep in mind is when the truck is aired up, I need to be able to take the wheel off. So I have to cut it open big enough to do at least that. I might even consider doing a skirt. I don't know, we'll see. But we're going to leave that for another time. So I'm going to call it a video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a lucky one.